The title of the video says I gained a 19.5% return. I'm going to explain exactly what that means. Now, some of you might be like, but if you stick with it and know the financial foundation that I'm laying for you here today, oh man, you are going to be so much better off. And I got to tell you something, that I feel so much better today than I did yesterday because of the fact of what we did to get this return. Right here is a bill. This bill is very old. This bill right here is a credit card balance. And that credit card balance was something that plagued us for many years. Now, there's always been the great debate. Do you really pay off debt, or should you focus on investing? Well, here's the deal. Right now, the average credit card interest rate is 19.5%. And if you carry a balance on 19.5%, there's no way the market can keep up with you. Now, before you close off on the video, really think about this. If you're being told that you should invest instead, there's many different ways to calculate this, but this is how we were able to get a return on our money. Right now, especially this year, the market's not doing as well as it has in the past. If we go to year to date, and we start right here at the beginning of the year on January 3rd, and I hold and come all the way down here, we have lost 4.56% in the S&P 500. So in investing, starting at the beginning of this year, you would be down 4.56% on your money that you invested. And on top of that, if you're carrying debt at an average interest rate of 19.5% on a credit card, yikes, the issue is you're double down on your money. Even though because you thought maybe you could invest. And this is the trap that I fell into. And I don't want you to fall into the same trap. So what I decided to do, it was about 2013. So it was a little bit of a long time ago. But in 2013, I said, I don't like the idea of being in debt anymore because we got close to being laid off a couple times. And when you get close to being laid off and realizing that you don't have any more income coming in, how are you supposed to pay your bills? It gets a little bit tricky. Sure, you could have all this money in investments, but that water might run dry as well, especially if it's tied up into IRA accounts. So I decided to start attacking the debt. And that's when I realized, amongst all the shenanigans we were dealing with student loans, credit cards, the house debt, and everything else, that on average, our interest rate for all of those things combined was 10%. That 10% is what the average of the S&P 500 grows at. So by getting rid of all the debt, we are saving ourselves 10% of added cost every single year. Let's do a little bit of a fun little math game because I think the key point would be get yourself out of debt first. It serves you well in two different ways. First of all, you stop paying extra percentage on your debt. And by the way, a lot of people say, well, instead of paying the 19.5, just balance transfer it into a 0% APR. But the problem with doing that is they do still charge you for doing that motion of balance transfer. It's not a free thing. They're still going to charge you a convenience fee, a balance transfer fee, some type of fee that you're going to have to pay in order to do that. So the question would really be, are you saying that that's really better than investing? Why not get that stuff out of your way altogether, eliminate the risk, get rid of the pain and agony, get rid of the ball and chain, and then we can start going all in on our investments. That's kind of where I was in my mindset. So if you think about it from this perspective, if you have a credit card balance of $3,500, and let's say you only can pay about $100 every single month to that balance, but you're not going to put any more money down on it. You're going to leave it at $3,500, not rack up any more debt, and you're going to pay off $100 a month. At that 19.5% interest rate, here's how it calculates. You're going to pay your principal back at $3,500, and with the 19%, it's going to then be an additional $1,717 paid on top of that for the interest, and it's going to take you 53 months to pay the thing off. So think about that. You're now paying over $5,000 for $3,500 that you initially borrowed. Let's flip that on its head though and pretend that we're going to take this $100 a month and put it toward the stock market. So right over here on our portfolio visualizer, let's plug in from the year 2021 to 2022. So over the next year, not 53 months, we'll just do a year for now. We're going to do $100 every single month. What happens is if we invest that in the S&P 500, and I'm going to choose Vanguard's VOO for this example, here's what it calculates to. We start with $100, we continue to invest every single month, and we end up with a final balance of $1,794. So this period of time represents 16 months. That's $1,600. So if I pull up my calculator here, your final balance sitting at $1,794 minus $1,600 is only $194 gained. So that's kind of lame. Now, let's look at another scenario. Let's say you have enough money that you decide you're gonna dump an entire $3,500 in at the end of 2020. So $3,500, which represents how much credit card debt you have. So what you'll do is instead of worrying about paying off the credit card, you're gonna put $3,500 down on the S&P 500 and then pay $100 a month into your credit card. Here's how that adds up. We analyze our portfolios, and your balance goes from $3,500 to $4,301. Just to do a very basic calculation, 4,301 minus 3,500 equals $801 of gain. But remember how much you're paying in your overall credit? You're paying an additional $1,717 to have that money tied up on the credit card. So to me, it's an offset of, do you rather invest or do you pay off your high interest credit? I would say you pay off your high interest credit because no matter what, you're guaranteed to save the money on your interest statement. Pick up your bill, look at the bottom of it, and see how much they're charging you every month in a percentage. That's what you can get excited about and say, that percentage, whether it's 19.5, 13.2, or whatever it is, that's your guaranteed return. Because every time you pay a little bit more than you should, or even better yet, if you pay the whole thing off in one swoop, you're saving all that money, immediately giving you a return on the payment that you made. Because we don't know if the stock market is gonna go up, down, sideways, upside down, or inside down at any single moment. So the risk would be putting the money into the stock market could be exciting if it was a year like 2021, but if it's a year like right now in 2022, that's a little bit dangerous. Now, a lot of you have also asked, what about the mortgage? So we just recently paid off our mortgage this past month, and the mortgage was only about a 2.5% rate. So that's another thing. We were attacking the heck out of this mortgage. I mean, we were paying a 30 as if it was a 5. We were going absolutely all in on paying off this mortgage. Now, that could also be looked at as actually the opposite of the credit card statement. So credit cards, 19%, that makes a little bit more sense. But when you compare the stock market average of a 10% return to only a 2.5% interest rate, that don't make a whole lot of sense, does it? Well, here's now where you need to make the decision. Here's kind of what went through my mind. I thought, maybe there's an issue with, let's say, as Dave Ramsey says, he did a lot of detailed research on this, nearly every single foreclosure of a home happens on a home with a mortgage. You get rid of your mortgage, you eliminate the foreclosure situation. And that's what I am really focused on. I want no risk. I want complete and utter freedom. How does that sound to you? I mean, think about it for a second. You wake up in a place where you no longer have to pay rent, you no longer have to pay mortgage, you no longer have to pay for your cars, you no longer have to pay student loan debt or credit card debt. You're completely free. Which means if you lose your job tomorrow, it's not that big of a deal. Because now that you're free of all your debt, you're slamming a ton of money into investments because you can now afford to do so. And because you can afford to do that, if you lose your job, you can live off your investments for a little bit or get any other job. Because your lifestyle doesn't cost a whole lot of money, you can now go and work as a barista at Starbucks if you want. Or you could go clean toilets for a living. You could do a bunch of side hustles. The world's in your hands. And I think a lot of people don't take the time to really focus on the financial foundation, which is why I wanted to do this video today, because I think it's super important to think about and super important to remember. Check out this video next, and we'll see you on the next video.